My husband asked why I bought a second phone. I didn't buy a second phone, but there's one charging in his drawer. I found it while putting away laundry. A black smartphone tucked under his socks, plugged into a charger behind the dresser. I didn't touch it, just stared at it like it might explode. That night at dinner, Bryce brought it up casually. Did you buy a new phone? I saw a charge on the credit card. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. I didn't buy a phone. Weird, must be fraud. I'll call the bank tomorrow. He went back to eating like nothing was wrong, but I couldn't stop thinking about that phone. The charge he'd seen was for a phone he'd already hidden. He was testing me, seeing if I knew. I waited 3 days before checking again. The phone was still there, fully charged. I picked it up with shaking hands, no passcode. He hadn't bothered to lock it. The text messages made my stomach turn. Miss you already. Last night was incredible. She doesn't suspect anything. The contact name was just a heart emoji. The photos were worse. I recognized my bedroom, my sheets, pictures taken while I was at work. He'd been bringing her to our house, to our bed. I put the phone back exactly how I found it. Then I threw up until there was nothing left. For 2 weeks, I pretended everything was normal. Cooked dinner, watched TV together, let him kiss me goodnight while knowing exactly where his mouth had been. But I needed a plan. Bryce was smart. If I confronted him without proof, he'd gaslight me. He'd done it before with smaller things. Made me feel crazy for questioning late nights. Not this time. I hired a private investigator named Delilah. She looked like someone's grandmother but talked like a homicide detective. Cheating husbands are my specialty, she said. Give me 2 weeks. She delivered in one. The woman's name was Paulina, 26 years old, worked at Bryce's company. They'd been seeing each other for 8 months. Delilah had photos of them at restaurants, hotels, even a weekend trip that Bryce told me was a work conference. But the worst part came at the end of her report. There's something else, Delilah said carefully. Paulina is pregnant, 4 months along. I couldn't breathe. He'd gotten her pregnant while sleeping in my bed every night. I called a divorce attorney that afternoon. Her name was Wren Hollister, and she had a reputation for destroying cheating spouses. Document everything, she told me. I started digging. What I found was even worse than the affair. Bryce had opened a separate bank account 6 months ago. He'd been funneling money into it every paycheck, almost $40,000 that should have been ours. He'd also put a deposit on an apartment across town. The lease was in his name and Paulina's. He wasn't just cheating. He was building an entire second life and planning to leave me with nothing. I took screenshots of everything, every transaction, every text, every photo, backed them up in 3 different places. Then I waited. Saturday morning, Bryce was reading the news when I set a folder on the kitchen table. What's this? He asked. Open it. He flipped through the pages. His face went from confused to pale to terrified in about 30 seconds. Where did you get this? Does it matter? You've been sleeping with her for 8 months. She's pregnant. You've stolen $40,000 and you put a deposit on an apartment for your new family. He started stammering. I can explain. You asked about a second phone to see if I'd found yours. You were testing me. Baby, please, we can work through this. We're past that. I slid divorce papers across the table. Sign these. You get nothing. I get the house, the cars, and you pay back every cent. You can't do this. I already did. My attorney filed yesterday. If you fight it, everything goes to the judge, including the texts where you called me names to your pregnant girlfriend. He looked like he might cry. What am I supposed to do? Go live in that apartment. Start your new life with Paulina, but you're doing it broke and divorced. He signed that afternoon. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. I kept the house. He moved in with Paulina, who didn't know about me until the divorce became public. She left him 2 weeks after their baby was born. Turns out he'd been lying to her too. Told her I was abusive. Last I heard, Bryce was living in a studio paying child support he couldn't afford. I sold the house and bought a condo downtown. Smaller, but mine. No secrets in the drawers. No second phones charging behind the dresser. Some nights I think about how close I came to never knowing. If he hadn't asked about that phone, trying to be clever, I might have stayed blind forever. His own paranoia destroyed him.